Pay close attention right now, because if this moment passes without landing, you could easily spend yet another year blaming everything except the true source. You might point at rising prices, your upbringing, the mindset of people around you, strange cosmic explanations, or that one person who borrowed money long ago and vanished without a trace. While all of that feels reasonable, it keeps you distracted from what actually shapes outcomes. What I am about to explain is the exact kind of language that decides whether serious wealth recognizes you in the years ahead or moves past you as if you are invisible. Stay steady before your mind jumps ahead. I already know the objection forming inside you. You are thinking that if words alone carried this much power, you would already be financially free, because you have been speaking your whole life. That response is understandable. On the surface, it sounds logical. But here is the distinction most people miss. The majority of people speak as if they are asking reality for permission, negotiating with fear, or constantly explaining why limitation exists. Very few speak from the position of someone who already belongs to abundance and simply expects cooperation. Prosperity is not something you chase like a runaway object. It responds when you address it from the correct position. Before you dismiss this as another recycled idea, let me be honest with you. I recognize how heavy things have felt. You did not sit still doing nothing. You put in effort. You tried multiple approaches. You prayed with hope, searched late into the night while exhaustion blurred your focus, watched one more video, and wondered if this would finally be the missing piece. You repeated positive phrases that felt empty. You whispered optimistic words while your financial situation seemed to mock you openly. That quiet discouragement, the private embarrassment, the fear that time is moving and nothing meaningful has changed, all of that is real and valid. But it is not permanent. The issue was never a lack of effort. Some of the most financially strained people are exhausted from constant labor. Tiredness is not proof of alignment. The deeper issue is that many people speak in ways that cancel their own progress before it has a chance to appear. They say they want prosperity, yet their daily language is filled with worry, hesitation, apology, and delay. Reality does not respond with emotion or judgment. It simply reflects what is declared. Language is not a decoration added to life. It functions as instruction. Every sentence you speak is like submitting a request to existence, and existence processes it literally. Here is a truth many avoid because it challenges habits they have held for years. Money responds to self-concept, not desperation. Neediness pushes it away. Panic repels it. Constant complaining sends it in the opposite direction. Confidence, expectation, and decisiveness act like magnets. To make this clearer, imagine walking into a restaurant and mumbling uncertainly, asking if it might be possible, if no one is too busy, to maybe get something to eat. You would likely be ignored or delayed. Now imagine calmly stating that you will receive the meal prepared for you. No apology, no pleading, no anxiety. That shift in tone changes the entire interaction. Wealth reacts in the same way. Most people speak in postponement without realizing it. They say they are trying to earn more. They hope circumstances will improve. They believe that maybe someday success will arrive. They describe themselves as working toward abundance. Those words permanently push wealth into a future that never shows up. Reality responds only to the present moment, not later, not eventually, not when conditions feel perfect. Now is the only place where power exists. There is a structure behind this that few are taught. Every sentence you speak does one of three things. It gives clear direction, it creates confusion, or it cancels itself. Many people live in constant contradiction. They declare a desire for abundance, and then immediately weaken it by emphasizing how hard everything feels. They say money flows easily and then follow it with doubt and disappointment. That internal conflict is like pressing the gas and the brake at the same time, and then wondering why nothing moves. This is where word choice becomes crucial. This is not about denying facts or pretending challenges do not exist. It is about choosing language that assumes cooperation instead of begging for permission. Language that attracts wealth is steady and grounded. It carries certainty. Saying you want a large sum sounds like longing. Declaring alignment with the flow that delivers it sounds like a decision that is already settled. One reaches outward in hope, the other stands firm in expectation. Saying you are trying to become wealthy implies resistance. Speaking as someone who gives clear direction invites response. Declaring that money is hard to get is one of the most expensive phrases ever normalized. Replacing it with statements that money moves toward you through both expected and unexpected paths opens entirely different outcomes. If this feels too simple, remember something important. Your current financial situation was also shaped by repetition, casual remarks, jokes, complaints, offhand comments you never thought mattered. Scarcity became familiar through practice. Now authority must be practiced just as intentionally. Here is a critical insight many overlook. You are not speaking to pull money toward you. You are speaking to become the kind of person money naturally recognizes and approaches. Wealth has preferences. It moves toward confidence, clarity, and momentum. It avoids self-pity, confusion, and constant apology. When someone repeatedly identifies as broke, that message is received as a boundary. When someone insists they never have enough, that declaration blocks overflow. Even humor can be harmful when it reinforces limitation. Joking about failure still teaches reality how to treat you. Listen carefully now, because this is the central statement that anchors everything else. This is not superstition. It is alignment. Speak it with intention and allow it to settle without mentally arguing against it. Express gratitude that the financial increase assigned to you in the coming year is already organizing itself through the most appropriate channels. That single declaration does several things at once. It assumes completion, it removes urgency, it acknowledges timing without obsession, and it places responsibility on alignment instead of strain. Notice there is no attempt to control the method. The method is not your responsibility. The moment you try to manage every detail, flow tightens. Your role is clarity. Delivery belongs to life itself. Your logical mind may immediately object and ask what happens if it does not work. That voice is not wisdom. It is conditioning, and conditioning can be changed. Understand this as well. Declaring alignment once and then spending the rest of the day worrying cancels the process. That behavior is like placing an order and then rushing behind the counter to interfere. Calm expectation is part of the language. These statements are not meant to be repeated anxiously, like checking a lock again and again. They are meant to be spoken with the quiet confidence of someone who knows movement has already started. Here is a simple exercise to apply immediately. Not later, not when you feel ready. Waiting for readiness is another form of delay. For the next full day, remove certain phrases from your speech completely. Stop saying you cannot afford something. Stop describing money as tight. Stop announcing struggle. Replace those expressions with statements of choice, support, and possibility. Speak as someone who expects solutions and cooperation. This is not pretending, it is directing. Another question often comes up at this point. If language is so powerful, why do kind and moral people still struggle financially? Because kindness alone does not equal clarity. Many generous people weaken their own position through speech. They apologize for wanting more. They feel uneasy admitting desire. They shrink their vision by saying they do not need much. Life responds precisely to those signals. Wanting expansion is not greed. Wanting expansion is direction. And when wealth is guided correctly, it becomes freedom, service, generosity, and peace instead of burden. The number itself is not the real goal. The deeper goal is becoming the version of yourself capable of holding it without fear, guilt, or self-sabotage. That version is built through language long before results appear externally. Your words shape your identity first, and reality follows that identity. If this feels uncomfortable, that is a positive sign. Discomfort often means an old pattern is losing control. Stay with that feeling instead of pulling away, because what comes next depends on how you speak from this point forward. Imagine this. If you spoke to your phone the way most people speak to life, it would freeze in confusion. Imagine tapping the screen while saying, "I hope this works today if it feels like it." The device would fail instantly. But you do not do that. You touch the screen with certainty. You assume it will respond. You do not beg, you do not hesitate, you expect cooperation, and you receive it. Reality operates the same way, but most people never notice. So here is something you must do immediately. Not later, not tomorrow, not after thinking about it. Later is where intentions quietly die. Before you sleep tonight, say these words out loud with a steady voice. I speak from authority. I expect harmony. I allow prosperity to meet me at the level of my understanding. Say it once clearly. Then stop bargaining internally. No arguing. No mental footnotes. The next day, when a small but pleasant surprise appears, do not dismiss it. Do not call it luck or coincidence. Simply acknowledge it naturally. That single response retrains your expectation system. This is how movement starts, not with dramatic events, but with a quiet agreement between you and existence. If you have ever felt like you were doing everything right and still receiving silence, this is likely what was missing. You were speaking from effort, not from identity. Effort tries to force outcomes. Identity assumes outcomes. Financial expansion does not respond to strain. It responds to alignment. Stay here, because this becomes even more precise. If you only repeat words without shifting your internal position, this becomes another motivational idea that never pays a bill. Language points direction, but belief provides motion. Many people are holding something powerful with no fuel behind it. Here is an uncomfortable truth. Results do not follow repetition. They follow acceptance. You can say the right phrases all day, but if part of you is arguing, defending old limits, or expecting disappointment, you are sending two messages at once. Life always responds to the stronger one, and the strongest message is usually the quiet thought you never say out loud, something like, "This probably will not work for me." That thought costs more than people realize, so let us remove it. Belief is not excitement. It is not pretending. It is familiarity. Whatever feels normal to you arrives easily. Whatever feels extraordinary stays distant, like something behind glass. Right now, large wealth may feel intense, unrealistic, or reserved for someone else's life. That is not about money. That is about normalization. Your preparation for what comes next is not about chasing resources. It is about making abundance feel ordinary. Think about how you learned to use your phone. At first, it felt complicated. Now your hand moves without thinking. You do not give yourself encouragement before unlocking it. You expect access. That expectation is belief. So how does significant wealth become normal? You stop calling it a miracle and start treating it as a result. You stop saying if it ever happens and start speaking in terms of when systems expand. You stop labeling yourself as excluded from scale and start identifying as someone who handles scale calmly. Notice how plain that sounds. That is intentional. Authority is quiet. Most people treat money as unpredictable or dangerous. They whisper about it. They joke defensively. They show off too early. All of that signals fear. Financial growth does not respond to excitement or panic. It responds to steadiness. Here is a sentence that reshapes identity faster than motivation ever could. Say it slowly. I am someone large sums feel safe with. Sit with that idea. Safety determines flow. Resources move where they can circulate, expand, and be handled wisely. If you believe wealth would harm you, isolate you, or strip meaning from your life, you will unconsciously reject it no matter what you say aloud. Be honest with yourself. Do you associate money with stress or loss? If so, you have found the leak. Leaks are not repaired through denial. They are repaired through replacement. Try this instead. When resources move through me, order increases. Repeat it until your body stops resisting the idea. Now we move to action because language without behavior becomes fantasy, and fantasy does not pay bills. Aligned speech requires aligned action, not frantic work but integrity. If you claim flow but avoid learning, responsibility, or opportunities that stretch you slightly, you are contradicting yourself. Reality always exposes contradiction. Here is a practical framework. Ask yourself once a day, what would the version of me who expects abundance do today? Not in the future. Today. Would that version delay growth? Would they avoid being seen? Would they undervalue their contribution? Probably not. This is not about exhaustion. It is about quietly raising standards. Prosperity is drawn to standards. how you manage time, how you treat small amounts, how you respond to inconvenience. Carelessness with little signals unreadiness for much. That is not punishment. It is structure. Here is something that may feel uncomfortable but will save you years. Stop explaining your plans to people who are comfortable with less. Every explanation weakens certainty. Words spoken to the wrong audience lose power. Validation is optional. Alignment is essential. Speak privately. Move publicly. Now about timing. Timing matters, but obsession destroys flow. Do not count days like someone trapped. Speak once with clarity. Then live as if things are arranging themselves correctly. Hold expectation without tension. When impatience appears, say this sentence: I arrive exactly when I intend to. That thought prevents rushed decisions and desperate actions that cost people everything. Resistance will appear. Old beliefs do not leave quietly, they protest. Your mind will suggest caution disguised as realism. Do not argue emotionally with those thoughts. Replace them verbally. Say out loud, I recognize the thought and I choose alignment. Yes, it feels strange at first. Every expansion does. Here is something very practical. Begin describing your life using calm present statements. Not fantasy, not dramatic dreaming, grounded scripting. Write sentences like, my income is structured and growing. My work is valued correctly. I receive meaningful compensation with clarity and wisdom. No excitement, no exaggeration. Your nervous system responds to tone more than words. Calm confidence retrains it quickly. Now listen closely. This is the foundation sentence. Say it daily. I speak, I align. Reality responds. Not by chance, not by favoritism, because that is how structure works. Yes, you continue learning. You adjust, you improve. But you stop dragging struggle into everything. Struggle is not noble, it is inefficient. Ease is not laziness, it is precision. Do something now, not after this ends. Write this sentence publicly, even if it feels uncomfortable. I speak with authority and my life reorganizes around it. That action matters. Public declaration sharpens commitment, and commitment speeds results. If you stay to this point, it is because something in you recognizes this truth. You were never broken. You were never behind. You were communicating from the wrong position. Shift the language, and the entire interaction changes. Stay expectant. Stay grounded. Be deliberate. And if this shifted something inside you, do not disappear. Return, continue. Alignment is not a moment, it is a way of living. Speak carefully, decide intentionally, and allow reality to surpass what you once believed was possible.